You know, folks, we're going to have to stop meeting like this at some point. And I promise today not to yell at anybody, but we have more storms because, of course we do. So this line of storms, I will tell you, this will be the last line of storms, the last complex we are going to have for several days here. Pretty decent chance of rain on Thursday, and I'm not really in a position at this point to say if that's going to be storms, severe weather, any of that. Too early right now, but we'll get there. But for right now, we have this complex of storms that is coming in with our strong cold front, and that strong cold front has dry air behind it. So the weekend, overnight tonight actually, we'll get down into the mid 40s, I believe, and some could be in the upper 30s. And then the next night, Saturday night, we're in the upper 30s, could be mid 30s. Some could get a light frost. But for right now, more spicy weather here for us, and nothing is severe at this point. Let me put this into motion for you to where you can actually see where this is going. But filling in this line, and this is probably going to pretty well move through most of the remainder of our area. The strongest storm, as apparently it has been the last few days, the strongest storm is again in Ellis County. So, that's kind of where things have been focusing the last few days for some reason. Pretty decent storm here in Hill County as well. And yeah, I'm going to comment here that the clouds are looking nasty in Whitney. These storms do tend to make really interesting, I call them interesting, a lot of people call them terrifying clouds. But we have a term for that. It's SLCs, scary looking clouds, where the cloud can look like something very monstrous is going on. It's really just another cloud out there. Matt sent me a video earlier of some scud clouds that looked funnel-like. It wasn't a funnel cloud, it just kind of had the shape if you looked at it the right way. And then I got a couple pictures of the shelf cloud coming through too. And there's always a lot of motion, right? And it's the motion that scares people. It's pretty harmless, just pretty routine for these storms. So we'll watch this, and there's no watches right now. The only thing we have is this quite sizable special weather statement going all the way from Hill County on to the top of Ellis County here. And all of that is telling us that penny-sized hail, really up to penny-sized hail, and wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour are possible with these storms. Again, that's not severe. I know that we had a measurement of quarter-inch hail right around pea-size in Midlothian. That's the largest actual measurement I've received so far. So, not a whole lot going on right now. Southern Dallas County, a little bit trying to form there. Looks like it couldn't quite hang on. And but this line is definitely intense, and it will continue to move forward as we go. Now, if we take a look, and I do want to, let me kind of move things around on this third monitor here, use it for something. There we go. So if we take a look at velocity, one of the things I've been watching is the gusty winds. And you can see very clearly the gusty winds that are coming in on the front end of that. And you're looking at those shelf clouds where it kind of looks like the front of a boot that's just driving across the storm. That is an indication that you have gusty winds on the front of that storm. And all that motion is because of those gusty winds. So not dangerous, just telling us that there are winds on the front end of that. Nicole Monk, you're asking about tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be nice. It's going to be cool, low 60s. It's going to be windy out there, so it'll be a chilly day. You might need a jacket or a sweater. So a last, maybe, possibly, I can't say for sure, but maybe our last cold, chilly day for spring. But the cold front that's coming in is pretty strong, which is why we have these storms. There was just enough instability in the atmosphere to make these storms come up today, so that's what we're dealing with. And it's just more storms. That's what we've got. I mean, there's not a whole lot to it at this point. That's not to say that these cannot strengthen as they go forward. And, it's got a strong cold front. So even though the air has been worked over, we've warmed up, right? We got some new unstable air here. And so that strong cold front and everything, plenty of lift for that to work with. So we'll continue to watch this. This will be moving into Waxahachie here in the next several minutes here. And of course we are watching Hill County as well. Let's just take these one at a time. It's one line, but we kind of have different segments. This storm, I won't be surprised if that continues to drop hail here. Maybe pocket change size by the time it gets to Waxahachie. In fact, I want to be able to at least see a little bit of this. I'm going to open my my window here, and we'll kind of watch it from there. But yeah, this is going to continue down to 87 into Waxahachie here, and it's quite a loud storm too. It will make its presence known, and that will continue on, of course, towards the Bardwell-Ennis area after it moves through Waxahachie. Unsure how long it will hold on to its intensity, but we will watch and see. So we're looking at this storm moving at about 25 miles per hour. I don't think it's sped up. Oh, it says 20 miles per hour. So is it slower now? I don't think it's really slowed down much. I don't feel like it's really slowed down much. So let's just go with 20 miles per hour. Because that's what I'm thinking here. So we've got Waxahachie about 402, about 421 in Boyce, 422 in Rager Springs, and then Ennis about 442. So I would say about 442, 445 for the Ennis area. Ensign about 450, and then going forward from there, Alma right around 5 o'clock. So that's kind of your arrival times that we're looking at this moment for this storm. Again, that's clocking it at 25 miles per hour. It may be a little slower than that at this point, but I think that's a pretty decent estimate here. Let's see, are we getting rain yet? Are we getting anything yet? Should be. I don't know if we're getting anything or not. So it will continue on that track, and then if we look at the Hill County storm here, let's take a look at the track and the timing there as well. That looks to be maybe moving a little more easterly there. But I do still think it's mostly a southeasterly track. So that one, let's get these times within the camera here so we can read those. Hillsboro about 412. Brandon about 430. Mertens about 440. Irene about 445. Malone about 445. And then Emmett and Pelham about 455. So that's the timing of arrival on those, really the two segments of this line. And getting a great photo. I'll have to share this later. A great photo of the shelf cloud. A friend of mine going right into this beast here in the Midlothian area. So we'll be continuing to monitor that. And the good news is I think the tornado threat is fairly low. We're really looking at a hail and gusty wind threat with these storms, not thinking there's much of a tornado threat to be too concerned with. But we will be watching that, of course, as well. Anytime you have those gusty winds, there can be times when those whip around, but I don't think that's going to be the case with this storm. So we'll watch this, and we'll keep an eye on all of this. Yeah, I'm seeing the lightning now. And when I say I'm seeing lightning, I'm seeing it reflect off the house across from me. Thank you so much, Daphne, for the $50 tip in... I need to quit saying amounts. Why am I doing that? I don't normally do that. I am so exhausted. I am so many different levels, so many different kinds of tired. I got up this morning, covered those storms, and I think I slept a little bit, maybe 30 minutes or so in a chair, and then went to Italy, and then came back, and I think I laid down and may have slept for another 30 minutes or so. So tonight I will probably sleep quite hard. I'm hoping so. I've got a birthday party in East Texas to go to tomorrow, so here's hoping I'm rested. So I'm planning to eat a nice big dinner, and now that okay, you know what's happened to me now? Now that I'm streaming, every time I stream, I think about Whataburger and I think about patty melts. It's one of these psychological things now. When I stream, when I broadcast, I think about the time that we talked about Whataburger and we talked about patty melts, and I want a patty melt now. So that's just going to be a thing. But anyway, back to thank you so much to Daphne for the donation through the Venmo there. Greatly appreciated. And of course, the Venmo and Cash App, those things are out there. All of that is always appreciated. Helps keep us going here. Helps pay the bills and feed me, which is quite a task. And feed my son Jensen, which is an even bigger task. And then feed my son Charlie, who, if you have a snack around, it will be gone in moments. So that's just the the plan there. Yeah, you're hungry now. Desiree, I have not tried a patty melt at Jimmy's in Italy yet. I'm waiting until I can go down there and take a nice visit there and not be in a hurry. I've been in a hurry for about 3 weeks straight here. All right, so wow. So great pictures from my friend Keith driving into this storm. He's trying to get home, so he's going to do a nice little core punch here for us, which is nuts. Yes. So to answer the questions there, and Jamie, so you're saying support local Pops Burgers. Here's the thing: Italy is local. Waxahachie is local. All those places are local. I mean, I've been going to Oma's since I was a child, of course, but yeah, I agree. Support local places. I love eating at local places because, frankly, it tastes better, right? That said, though, Whataburger, I like my drive-throughs, right? It's quick, yeah, kind of thing. But anyway, getting away from food to make myself more hungry. So you're looking at the hook where we're talking about here. So let's take a look at that. And on velocity, yeah, I'm not seeing anything that has me too concerned on that storm. So not seeing any kind of rotation, certainly not what we saw, what was it, earlier this morning, late last night? It was late last night when we had that potential or really pretty well-defined rotation in southern Ellis County. Never turned into a warning or anything, never heard anything about it ever again. So who knows? But yeah, these storms continue to push eastward. If you're just tuning in, we're looking at strong storms. These are not severe at this time. We are looking at stronger storms, and when I say strong, we're talking wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour and hail up to penny sized. That's what this special weather statement is putting up there. I see my good friend Tater is in the chat here. Good to have you in the conversation. At some point, we need to go hang out. We're going to try to figure that out for you. We'll make that happen. But yeah, these storms are noisy. They will make themselves known, and they will make a mess as they're going through, and then they're gone. And to answer the question earlier, yes, we are done. Finally, after this storm system goes through. So we will be wrapping it up here. Seems like this has been a long week. Seems like this has been a very long week. So next week, of course, is spring break. Most of spring break, at least for some of us, but most of next week is going to be nice. Thursday looks wet. Again, like I said, too early to really talk about if we're looking at severe weather or anything of that sort. But we'll be working on that through the week, and I will be getting some nice rest and relaxation as well. Looking forward to that. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of folks that are driving around and trying to figure out what to do here. If you're on 287 between Waxahachie and Waxahachie and Midlothian, don't be bashful about pulling over and waiting. Okay, pull over and wait. Hold on just a second. I gotta make sure we get the dogs in here. Because I just realized they are still outside, unfortunately. And yeah, we're getting raindrops now. So really hoping all the food I just put in there, hoping all the food I just put outside doesn't get too wet, because I just filled their food bowl. Now, knowing them, it's half gone. But definitely time to bring in the pets and those kind of things in Waxahachie, because quite the storm is moving in. And so this one is moving into the Waxahachie area now. Don't be surprised to see more hail. We've seen pea-sized hail from this. Dime to nickel-sized hail is very possible as well. Up to penny could be possible here. Yeah, Jessica, our yard is a lake in southern Midlothian. I've got a swamp in my backyard, so I completely understand that. And let's see, storms are rumbling like your tummy after talking about that Whataburger. I know. It's just, it's just where we're at. So let's see. What am I seeing here? Looking out the window, the little bit that I can see, we've got rain starting here at the studio. I want to see more. I would like to see hail in the daytime. That would be nice. Last night when I got the hail, or this, I think it was this morning actually. Early this morning we got hail and measured it, and it was right around an inch. So right around severe limits, maybe perhaps just a little bit. Honestly, between you and me, I think it kind of melted a little bit, a little smaller before I measured it, and it was just like right under the inch. It was an inch. It was an inch of rain, or an inch diameter hail. It was quarter size. It was a severe piece of hail. Not consistent enough, obviously, to create that warning, but hey, it is what it is. So getting a report now that 287 and 35 is absolutely pouring, and traffic is slowing down there too. So the crossroads here in Waxahachie, 287 and 35, very heavy rain there. Traffic is slowing down. I'm sure that's probably going to be the same for parts of Hill County here, north of Whitney, north of Itasca, where it's going to be very, very heavy precipitation. We kind of have these three storms here, and any of those are capable of gusty winds and small hail. And flooding will be, I haven't mentioned flooding yet, but flooding will be a concern as well, because, I mean, we're looking at, as somebody mentioned already, we have flooded areas already. We have standing water. And so two things I'm going to say. One is watch out in those flood-prone areas. That could be a concern. And two, make sure that if there's any standing water where you can get rid of it, right? Not the ground, obviously, but in buckets and those kind of things, make sure that's poured out, because that is how you help the mosquito population. And I have yet to see an ecological benefit to mosquitoes, and I think they should all just go away, but that's just me. Yeah, heavy rain in Waxahachie for sure. So why is tiny oak leaf on the map but not red oak? So I can't control what towns pop up at what point. Really, I mean, you've got oak leaf, Ovilla, and red oak all close together. I mean, it's essentially a, kind of a draw of which one pops up. But what I do like about this map, and one of the reasons I use this map now, is that when you zoom in closer on big cities, their names get smaller before the smaller communities do. So obviously we know where Waxahachie is, obviously we know where Midlothian is, we know where Ennis is, but not as many people know where Ferris is, not as many people know where Venus is, not as many people know where Blooming Grove or Itasca or Palmer or Ferris or Bristol. I've been everywhere, man, right? So, these littler communities, though they stay bigger on the map. So I like that, because when you live in one of those smaller communities, when I call out that name, you know exactly what we're talking about. Most people would look at this and, just tell you, yeah, it's just somewhere in Waxahachie. But I can tell you that's closer to the Sardis area right there. So that's just a benefit for us. And I'm sorry, I'm checking up on something here. All right, and thank you, let's see, thank you, Bethany, for the donation through Venmo. I greatly appreciate that. And so, Paige, you're asking, will this be out by 5? Well, that depends on your location, Paige. You got to know where you're at in order to give you a timeline. And David Tidwell, thank you for the kind words there. Definitely appreciated that there. And yeah, I mean, this is, okay, so Paige, yeah, so Midlothian will be calming down here in the next few minutes, really. Not going to last too much longer here. So, I think we'll be okay, generally here. Where exactly is that purple dot in Waxahachie? Not, okay, well, we can zoom in on that storm real quickly. So if you're not sure where in Waxahachie you are, see, like I said, Waxahachie smaller now. You got Neenah, Nelson, Sardis. You got Midway Regional Airport here, but these are north of Waxahachie. So this one is going to be pretty well right on 287, and then this one here that's going to be closer to really in my area probably. Not seeing any hail here at the studio yet though, just rain so far. But this is going to be up probably, I would say 813 and Butcher Road there. So that's where these two little dots are. And I also want to say too that the little pink and purple spots, they don't necessarily mean that we're looking at hail. There are different kind of indicators for that, but doesn't necessarily mean we're looking at hail here. So looking at Ennis, that's going to be closer to 430, I believe, in the Ennis area, if I remember correctly. So that's a little more of what we're looking at in that regard. Hail on Salon Road in Waxahachie, that's going to be closer to kind of this area here, or this little pink dot here. You know, once we get the radar update, it's probably going to be further down this way. So, Kelly Taylor, again, I can't control what towns pop up where. Is it Mapsco or something like that? Mapbox, I believe, that actually runs the. David, you're asking about measurements of storm width. And I don't know how wide it is, real. I mean, I guess we could check that, but I don't have that at the moment. And then, so, got off track here. I can't control what towns pop up when, which ones pop up. I don't have any control over that. The program, the Radar Omega that I'm running, they source their maps from Mapbox. Go talk to them if you have a problem with it, because I don't have any control over that. The storm, as far as speed, I mean, we're looking at these storms moving right around 20 to 25 miles per hour. And then driving through Malakoff and see the storms on the horizon. Let's see, what other comments we have here. Will, you're asking how bad will the storm be? So we're looking at these storms producing up to 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts at times. Really, that's mostly going to be on the front end of the storm there from what we've seen. I've got the Waxahachie storm over me now, and I'm not really seeing much wind. So it looks like that may have subsided a little bit in that storm. And then looking at possibly some small hail. We've only had confirmation of pea-sized hail so far. And then, like I said, those gusty winds in some places. But, you know, here I'm not really seeing those. Okay, Ashley, so you're at Settlers Glen off 287 in Ovilla, and you have smaller hail coming down. So yeah, that's probably going to be this area here. And yeah, you're going to be looking at, again, probably just that pea-sized hail that we've already heard about. Yeah, so there's that update. So yeah, pea-sized hail for this area. Raining hard on Great Garden Valley Parkway and Broadhead. And you're asking about Garrett. Looks like most of this will probably miss the Garrett area, probably stay away from there. So, okay, all right, awesome. Just checking up on a couple messages that were coming in. Jessica Sutton says, my 8-year-old is terrified of storms, and I'm watching every word. If you see anything that looks like a tornado might form, no, I'm not looking at any kind of tornado indications right now. That's not really part of what we're seeing. So, not really concerned about tornadoes at the moment. Here we are, we're good to go there. Haven't seen any kind of rotation today. And how about Dawson trying to play a softball game at 5:30? I'm not sure if it's going to be out of that area by then. Let's go down to Hill County here. We have a new special warning, special weather statement here. This is indicating penny-sized hail and winds in excess of 40 miles per hour. So now we shift back southward. The strongest storm is now in Hill County. And you're asking about the Dawson area. So Dawson here, we can get a track on this. And let's see, 20 miles per hour, okay? And so it's going to be more southeasterly motion. So let's get a track on this and see what we're looking at for that community there. So Hillsboro about 4:25. So about it says about 15 minutes from now, but really going to be moving into Hillsboro pretty immediately. So we're looking at get this in the window here. Actually see what I'm doing. 446 in Bynum, about 508, 510 in Malone and Irene, Pelham at 520, Emmett about 520, about 530 in Hubbard and Spring Hill, Raleigh about 538, and then towards the end of this, we look at Dawson right around 540. So, and Navarro Mills around the same time. And yeah, no tornado warning. Somebody in YouTube's trying to be funny, but no tornado warnings with this one. But around Dawson, it looks like it's going to be about, unfortunately, going to be about 540 when it's moving in. So not really sure the game will be able to go on very long there in the Dawson area. Yeah, and you're asking, is it going to hit the Ennis and Rice area? It'll move into that vicinity. At this moment, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to look like when it gets there. A couple of these storms look like they could be weakening, but we're not too terribly sure yet. So we will keep watching this as it moves closer to there. Is there going to be a lot of hail in Waxahachie? There will be some, not a whole lot though. Like I say, I haven't seen any hail yet, and I'm northeast of town, so not expecting a whole lot in Waxahachie, but there's some there. Carl's Corner, yeah, you'll be getting some of this moving that direction here in the next, I would say, 20 to 25 minutes here, maybe 30 minutes. So yeah, here in the Hillsboro area, we'll check the, just because we're seeing that curvature there, let's just go ahead and check velocity, and we can look at the winds too. We'll watch this here. We'll watch for this little notch here. This one east of Itasca, not really making me see anything, but we'll watch just west of Hillsboro just to make sure that there's not, just make sure that we're not looking at anything too squirrely there, if you will. So at this point though, yeah, nothing's really catching my attention. Definitely not like what we saw last night. So yeah, good to go in that regard. And I'm going to keep checking. I'm getting a lot of pictures and reports and things here. Okay. Get back to where I can keep up with that. Excellent. Okay, awesome. So let's get zoomed back out here where we can kind of get an overall view of what we have going through. And new storms now, parts of Dallas County, so from really north of Mesquite over towards Rockwall, new storms there. We're, of course, watching these storms from Waxahachie down towards Grandview and Maypearl here, down into the Hillsboro area, one just about to move into McLennan County there too. So, of course, this is the South Metro area that we are watching, and the strongest storm right now is west of Hillsboro. The storm in the Waxahachie area looks to have lost some steam a little bit. Fairly heavy rain falling right now, but really nothing past what I would call a steady rain here at the studio. And so the strongest storm definitely here in Hillsboro, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts possible, small hail as well. So that's what we see there. Nathan, scud clouds going over Waxahachie. Yeah, plenty of updraft. Plenty of updraft going to pull those scud clouds in. And so that's just going to be part of this. And scud clouds can look pretty intimidating, but trust me, they're harmless. Not really anything to worry about there. So we'll get back to the Hillsboro area storm here, and we'll keep watching this on velocity. I know that you're probably seeing this little curvature here, and I know there's some weather aficionados that are watching that and going, "Oh, there's a hook echo, and we need to watch that." And we'll keep an eye on it, but I'm not really seeing anything that has me too impressed. Mariah, you're asking about Blooming Grove. This will eventually move into the Blooming Grove area, probably in the next half hour or so. But I would say I don't expect it to really do a whole lot there. Could be closer to 45 minutes. So going to take a little bit of time before it gets there. And these storms have been kind of cycling. So this storm west of Hillsboro looks to be strengthening here. Looks like we could have an intensifying hail core right just west of town. So we'll be watching that too to kind of make sure that you're up to speed and up to date on that. But for the moment, again, there's nothing severe, no severe weather warnings for any of this activity right now. Let's go ahead and put this into motion so you can see that. See if I can get this over here, kind of see everything better. All right. Yeah, I think we're caught up on Venmo donations and that kind of stuff too. So I think we're good to go. And so the storm moving into Hillsborough right now, capable of 30 to 40 mile per hour winds and penny-sized hail. So be prepared for that in the Hillsborough area. The storm moving through Waxahachie now, going to be moving towards I-45 very soon, so towards Palmer and perhaps the Garrett area. So it does look like that's kind of taken a little bit more of an easterly track here, and looks like that's kind of shrinking a little bit, but there's still plenty of heavy rain there. So Palmer, Garrett, that area will need to be watching for this storm. Not very intense though, I will say, and hopefully I'm not jinxing anything, but I have not really had much close lightning and thunder from this particular storm. This is primarily, and you can see the reduction in lightning as it's moved through, really mostly just a rainmaker at this point. So not a whole lot going on with that particular storm there. Doesn't mean it can't cycle up and intensify at some point, but not a whole lot going on with that. The storm moving towards the Italy-Milford area, not a whole lot going on there too, just a rainmaker. But this storm near Hillsborough, if we're going to have a hail threat, it's probably going to be that one. Victory, you're asking, when is it supposed to hit Corsicana? So these will probably be moving into the Corsicana area right around maybe an hour from now. And it's really unsure. I'm unsure exactly what Corsicana is going to get, because it looks like most of the activity that moved through there not doing much. And this storm in the Hillsborough area looks to miss Corsicana to the west. So not too sure yet what Corsicana is looking at. We'll have to wait a little bit. On average, how many tornado warnings does Waxahachie get a year? To tell you the truth, I don't have that number in front of me. Don't have it on the top of my head. So we can figure that out at some point. You can also look at climatology from the National Weather Service. That will tell you that information too. But I'd say on average, I mean, maybe one. I mean, there's just not... We've gone years without them, and I don't think I've covered more than maybe two, perhaps in a big year, three, but I would say average in a year, maybe one, if we get that. So that's just off the top of my head, not looking at anything official. And getting some heavier rain here in Waxahachie, kind of on the back end of this storm. So I guess we might just be catching that heavier pocket there. Still no hail, though, that I can see, but Forrest Gump's big old fat rain falling right now. So that's, yeah, pretty good rain falling here, just to replenish whatever I lost of the swamp in my backyard that will be getting progressively worse. So that's, you know, that's wonderful. Still no severe warnings for this area, though. Not hearing anything of interest there. Just that special weather statement down in Hill County. And these, I will tell you, these storms, I did not really expect this to be as widespread as it is. I didn't expect this to be a segmented line of storms. I expected maybe one or two across the whole area, and then for them just to pass through and be gone. But apparently there was enough instability for these storms to work with to make this whole situation. So, you know, I guess that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm just checking on a couple more things. Okay. So we'll get back, let's see, I want to zoom in back in on this Hillsborough storm. Looks like most of that storm is moving into Hillsborough at this point. Still not seeing anything on velocity that has me too excited. Yeah, not really seeing too much there. Nathan Seward, you're asking, is this part of the cold front? This is along the cold front. So the cold front is what's instigating these storms. So we will get to a point where that subsides here shortly. And we will, when I say it subsides, the storms will move through, and behind it, cooler, drier air. Finally, right? I think we've had enough storms this week. Um, I need a dog to play in that swamp. I don't need either of the two dogs to play in that swamp. I don't need them getting that dirty. They'll be staying outside for the most part, but man, I really don't need any help with them getting so so dirty and so gross. So yeah, we'll avoid letting the dogs get in all the standing water out there. Doesn't mean they won't, right? I mean, they kind of do their own thing back there. Odds are they're probably going to get dirty somehow. But for the sake of my laundry room floor, when they sleep inside at night, I would love for them to maybe just avoid all of the water there. Okay, somebody's I guess getting impatient for their order here. Can you show a map of the lightning? Walmart curbside cannot dispense while it's lightning. I don't think I have, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think in Radar Omega I have just a specific lightning model here. I don't, let me see. Now, as the radar goes, it does show lightning strikes as it progresses. So you can see here that the lightning is really reducing. I haven't really heard any thunder in this storm. So I'm not sure which Walmart you're sitting at, Michaela, but I haven't really seen or heard any lightning in the Waxahachie area for a little while. Now, I will also say that if you're waiting for Walmart curbside in Waxahachie right now, the rain is slanted. So I would maybe give those folks a break a little bit while it's pouring down rain, and they'll Waxahachie Walmart. So and also if you have Verizon, you most likely won't have cell service. AT&T and T-Mobile had weird service in Waxahachie too. It's not just you. But yeah, Waxahachie Walmart, it's pouring down rain right now, so I wouldn't blame Waxahachie curbside for taking a breather and letting this pass through, even if it's not lightning out there. But yeah, it's just gonna have to be patient with it, with them for a little bit. Let them maybe skip out on getting drenched while they bring your groceries in. And okay, well, the party is not over in Midlothian. Particularly looks like the Long Branch area here. Looks like another little cell popping up, going to be moving towards the Red Oak, Oakleaf, Ovilla area. So yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at. So that's going to continue on to the east here, and I guess we're going to be looking at more more behind it. Eventually there is drier air, right? Eventually this stops. But do have a new cell that's just popped up there in the Midlothian area, so that will be moving on into Ovilla here shortly. Not expecting much from that, but hearing the Nash area that there's some thunder there. And we'll go back down, really just get another broad look here. So here's where we stand. The strongest storm continuing in the Hillsborough area right now. So that's going to continue on to the east. Just as another reminder, none of these storms are severe warned. None of these storms are severe at this moment. But with that said, we could be seeing some small hail, and I'm getting looks like much lighter conditions here at the studio northeast of Waxahachie, and so I might be seeing little hints. I have to squint to see through the mayflies here, but looks like we could be looking at some sunlight actually trying to come through. So this evening we will be looking at nicer conditions. Eventually the dry air will prevail, but it's probably just going to take a little bit. Let me see what's going on out the window here. Clouds definitely thinning out. Now with that said, there is a river where the street used to be, but that'll all flow into the creek, and then the creek is going to be pretty impressively full. It's Grove Creek that I'm near here, and that's going to be pretty full. It's going to be interesting to see that. And so I think we're caught up on comments and everything here. Yeah, so all of this, okay, so again, we'll cover Ennis and Bardwell again. Not really sure what to expect there, because you kind of have you kind of have an empty space here, right? So between these two storms is kind of where Bardwell's going to be. So it doesn't look like Bardwell will get much, and it looks like this storm might slide north of Ennis. So Ennis-Bardwell area, not really expecting a whole lot, at least at this time. Sarah, not really looking at a tornado threat right now. I can't say it's zero, but it's pretty low. And the same thing for Kearns. Kearns is too far away. I can't really tell you what Kearns is going to look like. We kind of have to wait until that moves through. And what time should we expect the rain to let up in Waxahachie? It's letting up now for most of Waxahachie. You're going to be on the back side of that very soon. So next 15-20 minutes, you'll probably see a difference. I know I already see a difference here where the rain is not nearly as heavy as it was. Same thing for Corsicana. Really any of Navarro County at this point. Hard to say exactly what it's going to look like. I will say in far western Navarro County, we'll be looking at this storm moving that direction. And so, yeah, you'll see that in parts of Navarro County, but it's hard to say for most of Navarro County what we're going to be seeing because these storms are dynamic. They're weakening, they're strengthening, things are happening, and not quite moving into that area yet. So I would say Mertens, you'll be getting part of this in the next several minutes. Frost, you'll be getting part of this. But as far as Dawson and on to Corsicana and elsewhere, kind of have to wait and see what these storms do before we really know. Catherine, thank you so much for your donation through the Venmo. That is greatly appreciated there. And let's take another look at velocity for this Hillsborough storm. Again, I know many of you are probably looking at that little hook there. And yeah, still not really seeing anything that we can be too sure about or too concerned about, I would say, in that area. So yeah, not looking at much of a tornado threat today. That's just not really kind of the setup that we have, which I would definitely take as a good thing. Coming down 45 to Ferris, has not really hit 45 yet, at least not, well, actually, before I say that, yeah, so as far as 45 is concerned, we do have a heavier storm here. Not really seeing anything impressive in this, just some heavy rain. And if you're on the highway, might make visibility a little bit limited, so don't be bashful to pull over and wait for a little while. But that's going to be moving into the Palmer-Garrett area, possibly Ennis if it can move farther south. But looks like that will miss Ferris to the south. Right now, Ferris is just getting some rain. This little cell back in Midlothian, though, the Midlothian-Ovilla area, looks like that could track further east towards the Ferris area after more time, but really not much going on at this very moment. And I don't know if you can hear the chaos behind me. That's the kiddos, and they're having a good time. So if you hear screaming, it's all right. Kids being crazy. So all is well. And another, does somebody have a storm generator over in Midlothian right now? Because it's just, I mean, we just keep getting these little echoes that are popping up. Question about Milford. I would say, Milford, you're probably just going to get a quick round of heavy rain. Probably not looking at any kind of strong winds, or you might have some gusty winds, but not anything damaging for sure. And then we're not really looking at any kind of hail in that area, I don't think. So mostly just a quick shot of heavy rain there in the Milford area. And I'm sure there's going to be some scary dark clouds that come along with that, but a lot more bite, or a lot more bark than bite in the storm that's in that area. So just some heavy rain in Milford for now, but that should be about it. So to put this back into motion here, and let me cut down on the frame amount here so we don't need the whole history of these storms. So this is what we're looking at right now. The strongest storm continues to be in Hillsborough, well, moving out of Hillsborough now. But this latest spot, you kind of see this eye-looking thing here. That's the freakiest thing I've ever seen. Just the way that looks. But could be a little bit of a hail core developing there. So parts of Hill County, we'll zoom in here, moving right towards Bynum. Going to be moving towards Bynum. Looks like that will stay south of Mertens, but Bynum eventually possibly towards Malone. and then on possibly towards Dawson. We'll just have to wait and see if that holds its strength. These storms have been doing a lot of cycling. They cycle up, cycle down, cycle up, cycle down. They go back and forth. But that's kind of been the trend here so far. And yeah, we're in a good spot, at least, to... Let me check these pictures that are coming in here. We're in a good spot to just kind of get a mixture of things there. So we'll continue to monitor all of that, but for the moment, not anything too terribly intimidating there. And I just want to say again, thank you so much for the Venmo donations. That always definitely helps us here, helps pay the bills, feed the kids, all that fun stuff, feed me, which I don't need to do a whole lot more of, but you know. And we're coming up on spring break, so I'll probably be using some of those funds to keep these kids entertained over the spring break when they'll be stuck at home. And nice thing is I'll be taking a little bit of a break here too, and trying to enjoy maybe a little bit of time off, if I remember what that is, because we've had a busy week here. But the good thing is that behind these storms, there is drier, cooler air coming in. Tomorrow, we're going to be in the low 60s. Some of us may not even make it out of the 50s tomorrow. And overnight tonight, we'll be in the mid 40s, low to mid 40s even. So cooler night tonight, and then we could get a light, some places at least, could get a light frost Saturday night, Sunday morning. Of course, that's also when you're turning your clocks back, so we lose that hour of sleep. Nobody's a fan of that, right? But that's when we adjust the time, and could have a light frost that morning as well. And then Sunday, we should be getting closer to the mid 60s, and then we're right around, back to the mid 70s, I think, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Let me see. Let me just make sure I'm not speaking out of turn here. Of course, I haven't done an update on the forecast yet to look at, we'll take a look at Friday too, but yeah, so right around 70 Monday, mid 70s Tuesday, 80s on Wednesday, and then Thursday looks cooler. Thursday and Friday both look cooler because it looks like we have rain coming in those days. Looks like widespread rain. When we're talking 50-60% chance of rain 6 and 7 days out, yeah, that's a pretty big, pretty well widespread situation there. So we'll see what eventually comes of that, if that changes at all over the next several days. But you know, we'll definitely keep you updated on that. Let me see. I've lost them. Oh, there it is. Lost the mouse here. It disappeared on me. So let's get another kind of wide view and show what we're looking at across our area. No tornado warnings in Corsicana. Not really sure where that's coming from, but definitely, I mean, there's not even anything going on in Corsicana. So I'm not really sure what's substantiating that. Let me just make sure that somebody's not some kind of error going on, because man, we know errors can happen. Yeah, not any tornado warnings in Corsicana. I'm not really sure where she would be getting that piece of information. That's kind of odd. Nothing since yesterday from Navarro County Emergency Management, so it wouldn't, I mean, not that they would spread that erroneous information anyway. But yeah, not really sure where a tornado warning would be coming from for Corsicana, so not really sure what's going on there. Maybe she doesn't want, maybe she didn't, she's probably trying to get out of the drive, right? Sees the storms out there, just doesn't want to drive into the dark clouds, and trying to not have to make that trip. Nothing going on in Corsicana right now. Honestly, I wonder if these storms are even going to make it into Navarro County. This one probably will, but it looks like that's kind of making a more of a southerly track here down towards Mount Calm, Hubbard, and West and Abbott there. And then this storm over in the Palmer-Garrett-Ennis area, it looks like it's kind of weakening, just falling apart, not much going on there. And I'm telling you, I'm seeing shadows here. So the sun is trying to break out here in Waxahachie. Back in the Midlothian area, some persistent little showers going on here too. And then back in behind all of this activity in northern Hill County, some new showers popping up. I will say all of this new development, though, is fairly weak. I mean, it's not very substantial, not really much to it, because once again, all of the atmosphere has been well worked over, and so not really too terribly concerned with any of the activity behind all of this. But as I say, we will eventually dry out because we will eventually get the dry air behind this front that will take care of that and clear out the clouds, clear out the rain, and make for nicer days this weekend. Cooler days for sure. So that's where we stand. And again, no severe warnings, no severe watches at this time. We do still have that special weather statement for this storm. Still looking at some persistent hail with this one. Let's actually take a look and see what kind of trends we can see with that. See what the VIL is telling us. So yeah, it looks like we did have kind of a spike in the hail with that storm, but now that looks to be weakening a little bit as that moves into Bynum. So looks like that storm is cycling down a little bit. And yeah, not really seeing any kind of hail threats with any of these. I will say the storm near Gulson, though, south of Whitney, looks like that could be quickly intensifying. So we'll have to watch that storm, in particular there, south of Whitney, south of the lake. Yeah, it looks like that one could be kind of blossoming there. So we'll see what happens, and it's as this is getting closer. So whether that's outflow or just the front itself, something's energizing that storm. So just north of Gulson, just outside of Abbott and West, going to be moving eventually towards 35. We'll have to keep an eye on that one too, just to make sure that doesn't try to do anything too controversial there. But yeah, the storm moving out of Hillsboro definitely looks to be cycling down a little bit. And still some lightning and thunder in the Italy area, so still some noise there. A little bit of heavy rain going to pass through that area, going to pass over 35 there. So it looks like that's moving, really the heaviest part of that moving more towards Milford there. So that's what we have going on at the present time. Again, nothing too intimidating, nothing too dangerous out there right now. More widespread than I expected, but you know, that can happen with these systems where you get a cold front, you get just enough lift, and you have just enough instability left over in the atmosphere, and it's going to take full advantage of it. So, and it was pretty warm out there, so plenty of convection as well, and you know, just enough to work with to make these storms look like we're starting to get a little bit more. Looks like moving towards Palmer here, maybe a new lightning strike there, so could be getting a little bit more intense there with that storm, but not seeing anything that really has me too concerned for this very moment. And again, I remind you, this storm starting to push southward now, taking kind of a right turn there. Paige, you're asking, do you think there'll be anything else this evening? No, it shouldn't be. Once this activity moves out, we should be done. We should be done for several days, almost a week. Next rain chances come in Thursday, and it looks like it could be a widespread rain for a couple of days. So the end of next week looks like it could be eventful, but outside of that, yeah, not a whole lot going on. And I'm seeing much brighter skies here here at the studio in Northeast Waxahachie. Trying to see if we're actually looking at. The sun is definitely trying to break out here. Obviously, I can't see a whole lot, but yeah, the low clouds are clearing out. So dry air is trying to prevail. Rachel, you're saying that Bynum does have some hail moving through. Yeah, so that's pretty much confirming what we're seeing on radar here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not hearing any thunder or anything. All that's going to be back towards the Palmer-Garrett area there. Okay, should be another radar update here shortly. And we'll take another look at velocity, just a wide look here. See if we have any pushes of gusty winds. And yeah, not really seeing much. Again, you can see the lightning strikes that are out there. So just a few, but not a whole lot going on right now. So these storms definitely became very intense, very fast, but have remained below severe limits throughout the day. The strongest storm continues to be this one, well, The strongest storm now, the one north of Gulson, that one looking pretty impressive there. But this storm near Hillsboro, moving out of Hillsboro now, moving towards Malone and Penelope there. That storm in particular looks like it's on kind of a consistent weakening trend. But I will say, too, that there could be some intensifying winds here. Looks like that storm's picking up some momentum speed-wise. So there could be some intensifying winds with that storm very soon. And then this particular storm just inside Hill County here, just north of McLennan County. That one looks to me like it's quickly intensifying. Let's take a look at the VIL. Yeah, you're already getting the pink on the VIL. Once you start getting the gray, that's going to be usually your inch in diameter hail plus, and that's your severe weather criteria. So that particular storm could be warned fairly quickly. And kind of hard to say which way it's moving because it looks like it's emanating north, but the whole thing, of course, is going to be moving east. So I would say if you're in the area of West and Abbott, Penelope, Montcalm, Leroy, those areas should probably be watching for this storm, as I won't be surprised if that doesn't start to move more eastward over the next several minutes, because eventually all of this motion is going to catch up to it, catch it, and take it on east with it. So we'll watch that storm very quickly intensifying. I mean, you can see the gray and kind of the darker colors there. That's your indication that the hail threat is definitely increasing. Looks like it's just a massive updraft that's rising very, very quickly. But sometimes when that happens, they don't really have the power to sustain themselves for a long time. You kind of get this sudden rush, and then it kind of mellows out from there. So that particular storm, I don't expect it to be this intense for very long. But it could, still bring some small hail, I think. And I'm going to check a few more. Let's see. Okay. And I'm getting, okay, that's not anything I need to pay attention to. All right. Light rain in the Palmer-Garrett 879 area. Let's go back and, yeah, so in the Garrett area, I won't be surprised if you get a quick shot of heavy rain there. Not really too much to that. West of, well, it looks like really more north of Milford, southwest of Italy. Could be a small hail core trying to develop there, but not anything too alarming at this point. Yeah, it's just a little storm there. It looks like that's going to be moving down into the Milford area. This storm moving into rural Hill County here, maybe towards the lake here, but going to continue on towards the Dawson, Hubbard, Mount Calm area. And I'm curious to see what the next scan on this particular storm shows. Here's Whitney, here's Gulson, Ross, West, and Abbott. So this is kind of in a rural area right now, so far as I can tell. And that is, yeah, that's starting to move. That's going to start moving eastward here pretty soon. Going to be moving towards, you can see I-35 here. So going to be moving towards the highway. And as I've been saying, don't be bashful to, take a break on the side of the road if you need to. Because it could very well be very limiting in terms of visibility and those kind of things. So just keep that in mind and don't be bashful. Pull over if you need to. If you need to take that break, definitely do that. So I'm watching to see what the update is on this storm. So now we have a new special weather statement here about the Hill County storm. Still saying winds of excess of 40 miles per hour and penny-sized hail with that storm. Now that storm looks to be weakening some, and I'm not... Now granted, we're looking higher up in the storm at this point, but not seeing a whole lot of wind in that storm, and then really can't see much in this Gulson storm. So we may need to switch... Let's actually switch towers here. I don't know, that may not really do much good. Yeah, not going to help us out much. This is kind of the problem you have sometimes when these storms get out in these rural areas. You're getting far enough away from the radar that it's hard to say, hard to see anything. Elizabeth, you're saying that visibility is very low on 45 around Palmer to Ennis. Yeah, it's going to be low where those heavier showers are. So, if you need to pull over, definitely do that. Don't hesitate. Just pull over. Don't question it. Just pull over. Take that extra time. You'll be thankful that you did. But moving towards Hubbard, Dawson, Mount Calm, and Coolidge there, we do have, again, that storm that moved through Hillsborough, moving towards Malone, Penelope, Mount Calm, Hubbard, Dawson, and Coolidge. So that particular storm going to be moving that way, and the National Weather Service again advising 40-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail possible with that storm. It doesn't look very intimidating right now. It has picked up speed, which generally means a higher wind risk, but not really seeing a whole lot from it. So they may be anticipating that storm to strengthen once again. Really, the storm I'm watching more closely is the one north of Gulson here, west of West, southwest of Abbott here. So you see the darker colors there, and you should be getting a radar update here in a few minutes. So Nicole, thank you so much for the donation through the Cash App. Greatly appreciate that. So these darker colors here, that's where we're seeing an increasing hail risk here. Not only increasing hail risk, but realistically increasing hail size. So we need to monitor this. We will be watching that storm because it looks like that one is on the upcycle at the moment. And then over the course of the next several minutes, we'll see if it can hold that. A lot of the time when you get these really quick rushes of the updraft, it does that, but it can't really sustain doing that for very long. Not in this kind of environment. Now, as it moves on, okay, well, there we go. So yeah, starting to kind of see that weaken a little bit. Really starting to see much more of a linear structure here. So from Abbott to West, on, again, this will be eventually moving back towards the Gulson area. I know that one storm is moving northward. Eventually, all of this will be moving southeastward. And a question about the Tellico area. So let's swing back over to Ellis County. We'll be moving into Tellico really in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I would say, if not sooner than that. Very, very close to there, moving through Crisp right now. So moving towards Tellico and Creechville very soon. So that's what we will be expecting for far eastern Ellis County. Of course, other parts of Ellis County from Itasca up towards Grandview here, up closer to Venus, and then in the Red Oak, Oakleaf, Villa area. A couple more storms have popped up, and probably just rainmakers. Not really expecting a whole lot out of those. They're in an environment that's been very recently worked over and stabilized by these other storms. So a little bit of new development, but not expecting a whole lot out of those. The strongest storms at this point, really the only ones that I think are causing any kind of issues, are in Hill and eventually parts of Navarro and what is this, Freestone County, and is that Freestone or Limestone? I always get the two mixed up. I think that's Freestone, and then McLennan County there. So that's what we see as far as the heavier storms are concerned. Corsicana, probably not going to see much out of this, to be honest with you. It's kind of, the northern part of this is kind of fading, and eventually that will make its way to Corsicana. You may see some intimidating clouds, but there's really not a whole lot coming out of them at this point. So this part of the storm that you see here near West, far southern portions of Bosque County, that will be moving more into the Waco area down towards Worth of Mejia and Groesbeck eventually, as that continues to move on to the southeast there. And then not much happening on the northern edge of this. So I am going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream for the moment. I've got to go get something to eat. I got to make sure the kids are getting something to eat as well. But stay tuned. I'll continue to watch this activity and bring updates on that to you. That's about to move out of our area, and I really don't expect a whole lot out of it as it does. But that will, again, be moving into McLennan County, and then moving again towards Hubbard and towards Hubbard, Mount Calm, Coolidge, that area too. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for all of the donations in the Cash App and Venmo, that kind of thing. Greatly appreciated. And we will have beautiful weather coming in tonight and